All right, guys, I want to talk about something that I didn't fully understand or comprehend until I walked away from corporate America, the sort of 9 to 5 grind, about a year and a half ago. And I think a lot of men in their 40s and 50s, they need to hear this. You can become incredibly successful, guys, at building that life you don't actually want. Guys, I'm going to say that one more time. You can become incredibly successful at building a life that you don't actually want. Guys, I need you to think about this for a second. You can make solid money, good money, decent money. You can become respected. You can become even admired. You can become that guy that everybody calls on when there's a problem. You can get the title, the office, the bonuses, guys, the benefits, the retirement account, right? And you can become really fucking good at what you do. I know I did. And then someday you're still going to wake up and you're going to come to this realization that I've spent most of my adult life building somebody else's machine, somebody else's dream, and more importantly, somebody else's bank account. And for many of us guys, many guys, that is a very difficult realization. Because the trap isn't always misery. It's not always about being miserable. Sometimes, guys, the trap is actually success. And that's what I want to talk about today. Because walking away from corporate America taught me some things that I don't think I could have understood while I was still inside of it. Starting with number one here, guys. You don't know how stressed you are until, well, you're not. This was probably one of the biggest surprises for me, or biggest awakenings, I suppose. When you're living under this stress for long enough, you stop calling it stress. You sort of normalize it. You just call it, well, Tuesday. The meetings, the emails, the deadlines, the budgets, the problems, the phone calls. Somebody needs something. Somebody fucks something up. Somebody needs to be fixed. And if you're competent, guys, if you're competent and capable, guess what happens? You get even more of it, because competence gets rewarded with responsibility. And that responsibility, well, that gets rewarded as well with even more responsibility. And eventually, guys, your nervous system forgets what off actually feels like. You technically go home. You're physically home, but your head isn't home. You're not there. You're sitting at dinner thinking about tomorrow, about your next deadline. You're lying in bed replaying conversations that you had earlier in the day. You're on vacation, but you're checking that phone. You're driving somewhere thinking about a problem that actually doesn't belong to you. And here's the crazy part, guys. You think you're handling. You tell yourself, I got this. I know that's what I did. That was until I stepped outside of it. Only then do you realize how much of your personality was actually stress management. The impatience, guys, that sort of short fuse. The inability to sit still, to focus, the feeling that you should always be doing something. There's always something else. What we just put it under the guise of calling it driven. Sometimes you're driven. Sometimes you're just chronically fucking stressed. There's a difference there, guys. A massive difference. And on to number two, guys. Your job just doesn't take 40 hours. It takes part of your life. It's another lie we love to tell ourselves, that I only work 40 or 50 hours a week. Do you? Do you really? Because what about getting ready for work? What about driving there, driving home, the time spent thinking about work, recovering from work, planning your life around work? Moving your doctor's appointments because of work, skipping the gym because of work, your children's games, your recitals, planning your life around work, right? And not taking trips and vacations because of, well, work. Being exhausted Saturday, Sunday because of work. Starting to think about Monday, 3 p.m. on Sunday. Because that's work too, guys, and nobody puts that on the time card. But you're paying for it. You're paying for it with the most valuable currency that we have. All of us have. Your time and your life. That's what men have to understand. Money is renewable, guys. I think we all understand that, but time isn't. Time is an unrenewable resource. I can lose $10,000 today and make that money back. Now, if I lose 10 years, good luck getting that fucking back, right? When you're 25, 10 years, maybe it doesn't sound like that much. When you're 50, or in my case, nearly 53, 10 years starts sounding incredibly expensive. All right, guys, on to my next point, number 3 here. The company, the corporation, doesn't need you as much as you think it does. Guys, this might bruise some egos, might hurt some feelings, especially for successful men. I kind of bought into this myself. Because men, we like to feel needed. I certainly did, and hell, I still do, guys. There's something deeply satisfying about being competent and capable as a man. Knowing all the answers, solving the problems, being that guy that people depend on and look to. And eventually, guys, you start believing they couldn't do this without me. Guys, come on, let's be 100% honest here. Yes, they can. And they will, guys. I don't care how important you are. If you're the CEO, the vice president like I was, the top salesman, manager, whatever. Eventually, guys, and sooner rather than later, somebody else is going to sit in your chair, probably before it's cold. Your email address is going to be shut down. Your responsibilities are going to get divided up or taken on by somebody else. Somebody else's name is going to go on your door. And guys, the machine keeps moving. The cogs keep spinning. This doesn't mean your work wasn't valuable, guys. What it does mean is that you made a mistake if you confuse your professional usefulness with your personal worth. These are two completely different things, again, guys. And I think a lot of men discover this far too late, right? They spend 30, 40 years building an identity around being needed by an organization. Then an organization decides that they no longer need them, maybe sooner. And they don't know who the hell they are, who they've become. Guys, that is dangerous. This is going to destroy many men. Because your job should be something that you do. It should never become the entirety of who you are. All right, guys, here's another realization. And I think when you step outside of it, guys, you see it. And again, I know I did. Most of your work friends aren't actually your friends. But guys, this one might make some people uncomfortable here. You've probably got people at work you consider your quote-unquote good friends. And maybe some of them are. But leave the company and watch what happens. So suddenly those lunches and those conversations, they disappear. The texts disappear. The inside jokes, go the way of the wind. The invitations, well, they disappear. And why? Because many of those relationships, probably most of those relationships, were built around proximity rather than a genuine, deep connection. You're both fighting in the same foxhole. Take away that foxhole, guys, and sometimes there's not that much left. Again, guys, that's not necessarily bad. It's just the simple reality of the situation. But it should make men ask a larger, they call it a bigger question. Who's actually in my life because they value me? And who's in my life because they were standing in the same building for 8 hours or more per day? Guys, because if your entire social world disappears when your career disappears, you've probably neglected something. And that's extremely common with men. We build networks. We don't necessarily build deep friendships. Guys, those are not the same things, not by a long fucking shot. All right, guys, on to my next point here. This one became very, very obvious to me, and obvious some time ago. We spent all year waiting for vacation, or as the folks across the pond call it, holiday. Maybe it's 7 days, maybe it's 10, 2 weeks, maybe even 4 if you were like me and you were really fortunate. And then we want to label this freedom, guys. That's what we call it. Think about how bizarre this actually is. You spend roughly 48 to 50 weeks living one way, so you can spend a couple more weeks living another. And sometimes you're going to spend the first few days of vacation trying to sort of decompress from all this. And then you spend the last few days thinking about going back. Guys, that's not freedom. All that is a temporary parole. And look, I'm not saying everybody needs to quit their job tomorrow. That would be sort of stupid and silly for me to say. Guys, what I am saying is maybe we should question a system where people spend most of their lives desperately waiting for Friday, waiting for vacation, waiting for retirement, waiting for some future point when they're finally allowed or allow themselves to live. Guys, that is fucking insanity. That is literally the definition. Because eventually you are going to run out of future. You're going to run out of time, guys. You're going to run out of that most valuable resource, time. All right, guys, next point, moving on here. And this is one definitely hit home with me. I mean, if one resonates with me, it's probably this one. Guys, the golden handcuffs are still handcuffs. And now we get into what I see is the real trap here, guys. For successful men, leaving isn't always difficult because you're failing. It's difficult because, well, you're winning, you're succeeding, right? You've got the salary, the benefits, the title. You got the company car, the 401k, the status, routine, maybe stock options, maybe bonuses. And every year you stay, guys, leaving becomes just a little bit harder. That's why they call them golden handcuffs. Why? Because they're comfortable. And that's exactly why they're effective. Nobody has to lock that door, guys. Why? Because you lock it yourself. You tell yourself things like just one more year. Let me get this next bonus. Let me get the kids through college. Let me hit X number. Let me build that retirement account a little bit bigger. It has a little more of a safety net to it. Fine, guys, those can be legitimate considerations. I won't sort of devalue that. But here's the question, guys, that almost nobody asks. How many healthy years are you willing to exchange for a number on a screen? Because at some point, guys, there comes a point when you do have enough money. What you don't have, guys, you never have enough time. All right, guys, here's another point, and I think this one's pretty important. Being able to keep going doesn't mean that you should, right? This one is one of the bigger ones here, guys. Men are taught that's something that I actually agree with. Don't quit. Work hard. Be that dependable guy. Provide. Do difficult things. Guys, those are good values. Those are very admirable values. But even these good values become sort of destructive when they're applied blindly. Because there comes a point when perseverance can become cowardice. Yes, guys, I use the word cowardice. Because sometimes staying isn't the brave decision. Sometimes staying is simply the safe decision. You know the job like the back of your hand. You know the people. You know the paycheck is coming every 2 weeks. You know the rules that you need to play by. Walking away, guys, well, what that means is uncertainty. And most men absolutely fucking hate uncertainty. So what do? Well, we create this noble story as to why we're staying. Well, people depend on me. I'm being responsible. I'm not a quitter. We virtue signal, guys. Maybe, just maybe you're scared. We're letting fear rule our lives. And only you know the answer to this, guys, but don't confuse fear with responsibility. They're not the same thing, guys. And if you're honest with yourself, you already know this. All right, guys, here's one that's sort of near and dear to my heart. Retirement should not be the goal, guys. Sovereignty should, right? And this is where I disagree with a lot of traditional conversations that center around retirement. And look, I don't want men spending 40 years in a state of misery so they can finally stop working. I actually think work is good for men. It's part of who we are, guys. Purpose is good. Responsibility is good. Building something is good. Being useful, guys, is very good. I don't want to sit on a beach drinking margaritas for the next 30 years because I'd lose my fucking mind, guys. The goal is not doing nothing. The goal is owning your time, becoming sovereign. Guys, that's completely different. Look, I retired a year and a half ago. I still work a lot. I write, I make these videos, I train, I build things, I pursue ideas, I travel. And the fact of the matter is, guys, I'm probably working on more things now than I did before. The difference, guys, and here's the difference, is that I choose them. Guys, that is sovereignty. And that's what a lot of men, I think, are actually craving when they say they want to retire. They don't necessarily want to stop working, right? They want to stop selling the majority of their waking life to something they no longer care about, give a shit about, Big difference, guys. All right, guys. So if you're over 40, I'm going to use 40 here as sort of the watermark. Let's call it that. So here's where I'm going to leave you guys. So especially if you're in your 40s or 50s, stop asking, can I keep doing this? Of course you can. You can probably tolerate all kinds of shit for the next 10 years. I know I did. You're a grown man. That's not the question. The question is this, guys. Do you want to? Do I still want to do this? Is this a life that you are consciously choosing? Or is this a life that you chose 20 years ago and never bothered to reconsider? Because staying is a decision too, guys. Doing nothing is a decision. Another year, yep, that is a decision. Another 5 years, 10 years, decision. And then eventually, guys, those decisions become your life. Guys, there's no magic bell that's going to ring and tell you, okay, brother, you've worked enough. Now you can finally start living. And look, guys, nobody is coming to give you permission. And here's the uncomfortable truth. And later in this video than usual, guys, the company will replace you. Your title will disappear. Your office is going to belong to somebody else. Your LinkedIn accomplishments, guys, will eventually mean very little. They meant anything in the first place. But the years you traded for all that, guys, they are gone forever. So yes, work. Yes, build, and definitely provide. Create, guys. Be useful. Make money. Do all of these things. But don't become so good at making a living that you forgot to build a life. Because eventually every man reaches the same finish line. And look, guys, when you get there, nobody gives you your unused time back. Use it while it's still yours. Guys, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you as always. The sub count's going up. If you are not a subscriber, guys, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and as always, pass this on to a buddy, a guy who could use this video. Again, guys, I gotta go. Time is up for today, but as always, guys, live deliberately.